Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk in more detail about the mystery of pigeon's eye. However, the racing pigeon world is asking itself the same questions that unfortunately remain unanswered. What do we look for above all in the eye of a pigeon? What eye color is more suitable for mating our breeders? How to select a crack pigeon? We will try to dissect the subject for you. There is no one who, with a pigeon in hand, can name all the qualities that this pigeon possesses by looking at its eye. It is a utopia. But, there are pigeon fanciers who can read more with a pigeon's eye. If you ask them, what do you see? You get 1,001 different answers, and if you think that I am going to write down and clear up the mystery of pigeon's eye in this chapter, then you are wrong. The first thing we notice when looking at a pigeon's eyes without the use of a magnifying glass is the pupil. The pupil is nothing more than the opening of the colored iris, and the dark black color is the retina of the eye that we see through. The second thing we notice on the pigeon's eye is the iris. You can see all the different shades of color in the circle between the pupil and the cornea, which represents the upper surface of the eye and continues below the eyelids. The outer edge of the iris is a distinct thin black circle called the vermilion circle. When we talk about the color of the pigeon's eye, it refers to the color of the iris. This is due to colored particles distributed in the tissue of the iris. Small blood vessels play almost no role in the color of the eye. The color of the eyes in the racing pigeon is extremely varied: white eye, yellow eye, brown eye. Many varieties which depend on the color and the amount of colored pigments. The circle of correlation, or the circle of relation, or the circle of recognition, all these names show to what extent pigeon fanciers have established a correlation between the presence of this circle and the value of the pigeon. This theory of the eye appeared at the beginning of this century. There are still many gullible pigeon fanciers who remain convinced of the truth of this theory. Oddly, there are still a lot of English people who buy into this theory, and it is not uncommon to see them sorting through pigeons, armed with magnifying glasses. The theory is that some eye colors are better for breeding, others for competition. We can also, again thanks to this theory, recognize the best breeders and the best travelers, select and mate. With much nerve, it was claimed that the reproduction value could be read in the aspect of the circle of correlation and in the color structure of the iris. However, the eye theory is absurd and at odds with practice. First, it must be said that the correlation circle is present in all pigeons, but in some it is not visible to the naked eye in its entirety, during a superficial examination, because quite simply it can happen that there is too little contrast. Second, because there are good and bad racing pigeons in all eye colors, there is also no reason to put together specific eye colors. So the color of the eyes and the presence, not always distinct, of the circle of correlation do not matter in seeing well, reproducing well, or flying well. For those who still have some doubts, I advise them to go and take a look at the eye photographs of a whole series of cracks on the racing pigeon auction site organized by Piet. The head of a pigeon must radiate personality. He must have charisma, which is a mixture of intelligence, willpower, experience, and things like wisdom. It takes years of experience to be able to determine this accurately. You should know that stupid pigeons more easily produce stupid pigeons, while intelligent pigeons will breed intelligent pigeons. How can we learn to see this and then verify that our personal taste for pigeon eyes is correct? If you visit a breeder who specializes in speed competitions, you will notice that it is mostly pigeons with eyes with homogeneous colors that are in the front, and if you then enter a loft that plays the distance, you will see eyes completely different, those that are richly colored with an abundance of pigment. The eye as a whole gives an indication of a pigeon's natural form, of its vitality, which is the basis of its athletic ability. I strongly favor the eyes which, every day of the year, are colored and pigmented with the same intensity. This regularity of color and pigmentation indicates a very high natural vitality. This natural vitality belongs to a type of pigeons which, like money, can be kept in the bank because they are reliable. They are very easy to get in and stay in shape. The legend of the pigeon sport, Piet de Weerd, with great respect in the pigeon sport, once made the following statement: "We are not interested in small pupils as such, but in the factors that provoke them, as these small are closely related to the will." When you ask some of the big names in racing pigeon for their opinion, men like Piet de Weerd, the answer is always that they love the color of the eye. an opinion that is based on years of intensive research. They preferred a richly colored eye. They weren't saying that everything is subject to eye color, but a good color is a positive sign. We all know that racing pigeons are competition animals, not luxury animals. Their performance depends on many factors. To name a few: good orientation skills, perfect working of the sense organs, muscles, all internal organs like heart, lungs, etc., moral qualities like the will. It is therefore not possible that success in competitions is dependent on the same hereditary factors, genes, which determine a particular color of the iris or of the feathers. A similar reasoning is also valid for other morphological characteristics such as the wing structure and strike. It should come as no surprise, then, that the hereditary transmission of a whole series of useful characteristics in the racing pigeon takes place in a less obvious way than in the case of feather color. It is even much more complex than the inheritance of the productive traits of a dairy cow, of a laying hen, or of the running ability of a horse. There is no alternative. In the case of racing pigeons, a constant selection based on the results in the races remains obligatory. Fanciers often wonder whether we can assess the value of a pigeon by examining its size. My answer to this question is reserved. To conclude, the quality of a pigeon can be recognized by its origin, its flexibility, its lightness, its good wing. Added to this is the work of the pigeon fancier.